Texas preserves far more than frontier folklore and cowboy myths. This land guards some of the America's earliest and most baffling enigmas. Deep within its canyons, rivers, and prairies rest echoes of forgotten peoples, cryptic petroglyphs, hidden riches, and relics that redefine our understanding of ancient existence. From prehistoric stone galleries to sunken settlements, Texan heritage conceals mysteries yet yearning to be revealed. If you have ever navigated the sun-scorched deserts or the jagged hill country of Texas, you have likely crossed paths with a segment of the Old Spanish Trail. Even if it escaped your notice, this is not a singular highway, but a tapestry of ancient corridors weaving across the Southwest, once trodden by explorers, evangelists, and merchants. Yet beneath the sterile records of early transit lies a much profounder enigma. These are the chronicles of lost Spanish mines, whispered to be concealed somewhere along this path, entombed under centuries of sediment and folklore. The Old Spanish Trail possesses heritage that reaches back to the 1500s, when Spanish conquistadors surged northward from Mexico, pursuing gold, silver, and converts. Texas was immense and desolate then, a realm of unruly rivers, steep gorges, and defiant tribes who did not embrace intruders. Still, the Spaniards persevered, certain that wealth awaited within the peaks. They left behind lonely missions, decaying ramparts, and murmurs of mining encampments that flourished momentarily before evaporating without a footprint. One of the most persistent legends is the lost San Saba mine, rumored to exist near Menard, west of Austin. In 1757, Spanish friars founded the Santa Cruz de San Saba mission to proselytize the Lipan Apache. To safeguard it, soldiers erected a nearby presidio, a fortified garrison. But it was not merely faith that beckoned the Spaniards this far north. They had pursued relentless rumors of silver lodes in the surrounding ridges. Some swear they struck fortune. Others argue the mines were a ruse to justify imperial reach. According to lore, the Spaniards clandestinely extracted and refined silver here, masking their labors from both hostile tribes and Spanish governors who demanded a royal share. But the mission's tranquility was fleeting. Within a year, it was besieged by a formidable alliance of Comanche and neighboring tribes. The mission was razed, the clerics were martyred, and the survivors retreated south. The purported mine's coordinates vanished with them. Over the following 2 centuries, prospectors, fortune seekers, and visionaries have scoured those ridges, certain the lost mine remains. They found vestiges, antique tunnels, and bits of slag. Some maintain the mine was tangible, but collapsed and was entombed after the slaughter. Others contend that later pioneers misidentified geological formations for ancient excavations. Regardless, the legend persists. And the San Saba account is not solitary. Across Texas, similar narratives surface like phantom settlements on a vintage map. Within the Davis Mountains, rumors linger of Jesuit gold troves stashed in secluded ravines. Near the Pecos River, there is talk of a vault filled with ornate Spanish relics sealed behind debris. In central Texas, elders still recount the tale of Jim Bowie. Yes, the same Bowie who perished at the Alamo, allegedly discovering a Spanish silver lode along the San Saba River in the early 1800s. He supposedly retrieved a few ingots of refined silver as evidence, but could never pinpoint the precise location again. Then there is the Los Almagres mine, which appears in Spanish archives from the 1750s. The name translates to the Red Earth, and manuscripts describe it as a reservoir of rich mineral near modern-day Llano.
Explorers like Bernardo de Miranda and even the Marquez de Rubi documented its existence. Some scholars believe Los Almagres might actually be the historical foundation for the San Saba myths. In the 1800s, miners rediscovered what they believed were its galleries. But after eras of erosion and inundation, the corridors had buckled. The mystery of how much was truly extracted and what remains has never been resolved. The cycle is eternally the same: a breath of riches, a tempest of industry, and then stillness. Sometimes it is conflict or ambush, sometimes it is clandestine greed, and sometimes it is merely nature. Texas climate can bury a shaft swifter than avarice can reveal it. Torrential floods, migrating sands, and time have scrubbed away much of the proof. But that erasure only intensifies the magnetism. Treasure charts, authentic and counterfeit, proliferated throughout the 1800s, frequently etched with cryptic signs like crucifixes and rings. The cycle is eternally the same: a breath of riches, a tempest of industry, and then stillness. Sometimes it is conflict or ambush, sometimes it is clandestine greed, and sometimes it is merely nature.
Texas climate can bury a shaft swifter than avarice can reveal it. Torrential floods, migrating sands, and time have scrubbed away much of the proof. But that erasure only intensifies the magnetism. Treasure charts, authentic and counterfeit, proliferated throughout the 1800s, frequently etched with cryptic signs like crucifixes and rings. A rancher once discovered a carved lithic cross indicating a supposed mine portal. Another insists he witnessed an ancient gallery sealed with methodical stonework deep in a gorge. Whether those accounts are factual hardly matters. The enigma has become woven into the terrain itself. Archaeologists approach these legends with skepticism. While some Spanish-era mining efforts are verified, specifically near Presidio and El Paso, most lost mine accounts blend a speck of reality with a mountain of myth. Yet occasionally, something physical emerges. A silver bar stamped with a Spanish crucifix, a corroded pickaxe unearthed far from any known colony, a stone engraving that appears too deliberate to be accidental. These remnants sustain the inquiry. How much of the folklore might be authentic? What is certain is that the old Spanish trail itself was tangible, and it bridged more than just mining camps. It united disparate worlds, from the missions of San Antonio to the pueblos of New Mexico and the mercantile outposts of California. Along the way, myriad travelers left their signatures. You can still discover segments of the primal trail carving through the brush, sometimes marked by grooves etched into stone or weathered mission crosses standing in the void. Navigating these abandoned paths today feels like stepping into a previous era. In the midday swelter, when the horizon undulates above the desert, you can almost visualize a mule train trudging past, burdened with cargo and silver mineral, the ghostly strike of mallets echoing off the canyon facades. And when the sun departs, staining the firmament blood crimson, the land feels saturated with memory, as if it is clutching secrets it is not prepared to surrender.
Modern scavengers still patrol the hills with sensors and subsurface radar, yearning to locate the lost shafts. Most depart with nothing but exhaustion and tall tales. A few claim to have spotted traces of Spanish industry, but these assertions usually dissolve into hearsay. Even so, the conviction persists that somewhere in the Texas heartland, entombed beneath rock and silt, lies a fortune in silver, sheltered by time, misfortune, and the spirits of those who sought it previously. But perhaps the genuine bounty is not silver or gold. Perhaps it is the heritage itself, the prompt that Texas was forged not only by cattlemen and oil tycoons, but by voyagers, clerics, and dreamers who pursued phantoms of prosperity into the abyss. The old Spanish trail may be tattered and obscured in spots, but it remains if you possess the vision to find it. A slender thread of mystery spanning across the centuries. And somewhere along that line, beneath a solitary crest or behind a sealed ravine wall, the earth may still conceal the remains of the lost Spanish mines.
Out across the windswept expanses of the Texas Panhandle, there exists a stretch of silent prairie that appears unremarkable upon first impression. Low-lying grasses, a few scattered mesquite trees, and the lonely cry of a soaring hawk define the horizon. Yet, concealed beneath this modest terrain lies one of the most intriguing archaeological wonders in the American Southwest, what locals call the Buried City. Situated near Perryton in Ochiltree County, the remains interred here have baffled historians and researchers for over a century. The designation Buried City originated with early cattlemen who happened upon peculiar mounds and stone perimeters that appeared far too symmetrical to be geological accidents. They envisioned these as the remnants of a lost metropolis, where stone footings, ceramic shards, and scorched bones were churned into the earth. The initial formal inquiries into these ruins began in the early 1900s, back when the Panhandle remained a rugged frontier. What explorers unearthed suggested a society that failed to align neatly with any recognized indigenous groups of that territory. Archaeologists eventually exposed the foundations of roughly 100 lithic structures spanning several acres, some organized into rhythmic corridors or communal plazas.
What truly transfixed observers were the hearths, subterranean granaries, and the intricate fragments of painted pottery strewn throughout the site. The inhabitants weren't merely passing through or camping seasonally. This was a permanent colony, organized, disciplined, and flourishing long before European explorers ever reached Texas soil. Establishing a timeline proved challenging, yet radiocarbon analysis indicates the Buried City thrived between 1200 and 1400 AD. This places it as a contemporary to the Mississippian civilizations further east, such as Cahokia near St. Louis. However, the strangeness lies in its architectural departure from those cultures. These people avoided massive earthen mounds or colossal temples. They favored stone over timber, and their hamlets were built in dense clusters rather than the sprawling ceremonial designs found elsewhere. Essentially, the Buried City remains a cultural anomaly, an island of tradition whose roots are still debated.
Some scholars believe the architects were progenitors of the modern Plains Apache, or perhaps members of the Antelope Creek phase, a group identified at various Panhandle sites. These Antelope Creek people were sophisticated merchants who worked with stone, cultivated river basins, and pursued bison. Yet there is a distinct quality to the Buried City that distinguishes it from their other known habitations. The magnitude, the concentration of masonry, and the defensive posture suggest it functioned as a regional capital, perhaps a proto-city for its era. One hypothesis posits it served as a commercial hub within a network linking the Rocky Mountains to the Mississippi River. Excavators have identified obsidian from New Mexico, marine shells from the Gulf, and copper tools potentially sourced from the Great Lakes. This depicts a community deeply integrated into far-reaching networks long before the concept of continental trade was thought possible here. Yet more speculative and haunting theories persist. Early pioneers once conjectured the site evidenced an ancient Old World colony, as the precision of the masonry evoked memories of European or even Middle Eastern antiquities. A few eccentric authors in the 1920s even suggested the Buried City was constructed by remnants of the lost tribes of Israel, or perhaps an outpost for refugees from Atlantis. While no scientific evidence supports these claims, such myths fueled the imagination of a territory still steeped in legend and folklore. Even now, walking through the site's vestiges, one understands why it birthed such tales. The walls still emerge from the silt in weathered silhouettes. From a vantage point, one can discern the ghostly geometry of ancient lanes, rectangular shadows dissolving into the wildflowers. The wind sweeps across the plains with a resonant, low vibration, making one feel as though they are standing in the resonance of something majestic and discarded. Archaeological missions in the 1930s and 1940s revealed more of the narrative. Bison bone implements, milling stones for maize, and culinary vessels proved these people mastered both the hunt and the harvest. They navigated a transitional existence, partially migratory, partially sedentary. They followed the great herds, but also tilled the rich alluvial soil nearby. Then, for reasons that remain elusive, they departed. By approximately 1450 AD, the buried city was vacated. The dwellings crumbled, the hearth fires dimmed, and the prairie gradually reclaimed its dominion. No scripts exist, nor any obvious signs of warfare or sudden doom. Many suspect environmental shifts, perhaps a devastating drought, compelled the exodus. Others guess that fluctuating trade paths or friction with emerging tribes led to the twilight of the city. Whatever the catalyst, the departure was swift enough that many rooms remained preserved under layers of airborne dust.
The location is currently safeguarded within the Buried City Archaeological District, though it isn't accessible for casual public exploration. Most of the land is private, and only authorized scientists may conduct excavations. Nevertheless, a dedicated museum in Perryton showcases the artifacts, lithic tools, ceramic fragments, and artistic models of the ancestral homes. It is a place where deep time feels remarkably intimate, as if you could bridge a millennium and touch the hands of those who laid these limestone blocks. The surrounding geography explains the choice of location. The Canadian River carves deep troughs through the plains, hiding verdant valleys fed by springs, even during droughts. These corridors provided sanctuary, water, and arable land. Those same natural shields helped immortalize the ruins. The arid climate prevented decay, while persistent winds entombed and shielded the remains for centuries. Standing there, it is effortless to envision families circling the fire, the aroma of roasting bison and wood smoke, children sprinting between the stone facades, and merchants arriving with treasures from 1,000 miles away.
Then the sounds slowly fade into the stillness of the grass. The mystery of the buried city isn't just about its builders. It is about the sophistication and connectivity of these ancient worlds. For too long, historians viewed the Great Plains as a void between Mexico and the Mississippi. Sites like this shatter that myth. They prove that intricate, resilient societies flourished here, conquering a harsh climate and leaving behind monuments that still pulse beneath the earth. Today, experts utilize ground-penetrating radar and 3D mapping to see through the soil without disturbing the peace. Every finding adds a detail, yet the heart of the mystery lingers. Why was such a thriving heartland abandoned? How did they fit into the grand tapestry of the continent? If you ever find yourself in the Texas Panhandle, staring into that vast, quiet horizon, you will feel the gravity of those unanswered questions. Beneath your feet lies a forgotten world, one that still guards its deepest secrets. In the serene town of Glen Rose, Texas, situated roughly an hour southwest of Fort Worth, the Paluxy River meanders through a vista of limestone precipices and dense emerald woodlands. To most observers, it appears as any other languid Texan waterway. Yet, when the currents recede, something miraculous surfaces from its depths. Etched into the bedrock are hundreds of fossilized footprints, frozen instances from over 100 million years ago. These are the Paluxy River dinosaur tracks, and they have ignited one of the most persistent enigmas in the field of paleontology. The narrative unfolds in the early 1900s, when inhabitants observed peculiar indentations in the river channel. They resembled colossal footprints, three-toed marks, some exceeding 12 inches in length. News traveled rapidly. Farmers, educators, and inquisitive citizens began scouting the river, discovering trail after trail, spanning hundreds of feet. It felt as though the fabric of time had retracted to unveil a primeval world directly beneath their heels.
By the 1930s, the Paluxy tracks captured the scientific community's gaze. Paleontologists identified them as the signatures of theropods, carnivorous giants like Acrocanthosaurus, and sauropods, monstrous long-necked herbivores such as Sauroposeidon. The sauropod prints, expansive and globular,
frequently mirrored deep-clawed impressions from hunters. It was a researcher's fantasy, vivid, flawlessly maintained evidence of dinosaurs traversing what was once a silty floodplain during the Cretaceous period, roughly 113 million years ago. However, as is common with profound revelations, ambiguity followed closely. In the 1930s, accounts emerged of a different variety of track, ones that failed to correlate with any known saurian. Locals asserted they had found marks eerily resembling human footprints pressed into the identical stone strata as the dinosaurian trails. The concept surged in fame. Periodicals ran dramatic titles about man and beast wandering side by side. Amateur enthusiasts flocked to the site. Some even excavated supposed human tracks to sell to travelers. For many, particularly creationists who maintained the Earth was only several thousand years old, these alleged human strides were viewed as confirmation that humanity and dinosaurs coexisted.
The Paluxy River transformed into a crucible of science and conviction. A tranquil Texas creek became a focal point in the friction over evolutionary theory. Scientists remained skeptical. Many human tracks were revealed to be misidentified dinosaurian marks, specifically elongated impressions created when dinosaurs walked on their metatarsals in saturated mud. Eventually, erosion distorted their contours, making them appear more humanoid. Others were merely fabrications, carved by residents seeking profit from the fervor. Yet, a few indentations remained perplexing, not easily clarified or ignored. Even after decades of analysis, some silhouettes show strange, almost anthropoid forms that resist simple categorization. This is where the fascination persists. Were those peculiar marks genuine anomalies, rare irregularities in the fossil record, or simply the byproduct of weathering and hopeful imagination? The scientific consensus today is absolute. There is no proof that humans ever lived alongside dinosaurs. But the Paluxy River guards its secrets gently, murmuring just enough to sustain our wonder.
Standing in the riverbed, you witness history unfolding beneath your feet. Long sequences of sauropod tracks traverse the rock like a prehistoric boulevard. Every stride is perfectly calibrated, every hollow a fossilized pulse of motion. You can navigate the path of a titanic creature as it lumbered through soft silt eons ago, perhaps foraging or seeking higher terrain before a deluge. The precision is startling. You can observe ripple marks in the ancient clay, and even claw abrasions where the animal's limb slipped slightly during its journey. At certain junctions, the trails of predators intersect those of the plant eaters. Scholars believe this might not be an active hunt, but rather carnivores crossing the same mud later. Still, the sight of overlapping prints sparks the mind. It is difficult not to envision that ancient spectacle. Massive titans moving through humid, fern-dense swamps, the air heavy with moisture, insects droning, and the earth trembling under their mass. The Paluxy site earned such renown that in 1972 it was incorporated into Dinosaur Valley State Park, a premier Texan natural landmark.
Today, guests can trek through the sanctuary and stand precisely within the fossilized steps. During arid seasons, the tracks are starkly visible in the riverbed. During torrential months, they often retreat under shallow currents, only to resurface like apparitions from another epoch. Scientists continue examining the region, using modern tools like 3D scanning and photogrammetry to archive the tracks in exquisite detail. These endeavors have unearthed subtle data regarding dinosaur gait, social behavior, and velocity. In certain instances, researchers have identified specific pathways made by the same creature traveling at varying speeds, essentially a 100-million-year-old kinetic study preserved in stone. Beyond the physics, there is something profound about the location. You can stand ankle-deep in the same stream that revealed those marks and experience a collapse of time. The breeze stirs the branches, the water ripples softly over the flint,
and suddenly you realize the earth beneath you cradles memories older than our species.
And yet, the debate over the human footprints never entirely dissipates. Even though the standard explanation is robust, some still argue that a few Paluxy marks cannot be explained as dinosaurian. They highlight elongated impressions with toe-like configurations or faint arches as proof. To this day, fringe investigators and curiosity seekers arrive with lenses, plaster, and tape, hoping to detect something that academia overlooked. Park rangers are gracious with such guests, reminding everyone that most man-track claims have been thoroughly refuted. Still, they concede there is always more to discover. The Paluxy River continues to surrender new fossils and sediment layers every few seasons. What was once marginalized as a local curiosity has matured into one of the most analyzed trackways on the planet. And that is the true allure, the fusion of mystery and revelation. It reminds us that even when logic is clear, awe does not have to perish.
The Paluxy River tracks recount a story not of humans and dinosaurs walking in unison, but of profound time, shifting landscapes, and the delicate evidence that binds us to the remote past. If you visit today, Glen Rose has fully adopted its prehistoric identity. Saurian monuments line the streets, local cafes offer thematic burgers, and the museum displays casts of the most renowned tracks. Yet, when you descend into the actual riverbed, away from the throngs, it remains hushed and primal. The limestone bears the burden of creatures long extinct, their movements imprinted forever. Whether you perceive it as a victory of science, a portal to the unknown, or simply a breathtaking fragment of natural heritage, one thing remains certain. The Paluxy River does not merely protect the trails of dinosaurs. It safeguards the human impulse to comprehend, to investigate, and to stand in reverence of the impossible.
Across the sprawling prairies of the Texas Panhandle, where the horizon stretches infinitely beneath a monumental sky, lies a destination humans have sought for over 13 millennia. They came not for precious metals, nor for petroleum or springs, but for stone. Resilient, vitreous, iridescent stone that shimmers when kissed by the sun. This is Alibates Flint Quarries National Monument, among the most remarkable and enigmatic archaeological treasures in North America. At first glance, the terrain appears modest. The quarries crown the bluffs above the Canadian River, enveloped by the crimson cliffs and arid mesas of the current Lake Meredith National Recreation Area. Yet, if you traverse this land with care, clues begin to emerge. Pits, hollows, and fragmented shards of flint carpeting the earth. To an observant eye, it is evident this was no accidental deposit. This was a primordial industrial hub, an open-air laboratory where endless generations gathered to excavate, strike, and refine tools.
The flint discovered here is no common rock. It is a superior form of agatized dolomite, forged as minerals from ancient seabeds crystallized deep within limestone. The consequence is a stone that is simultaneously exquisite and functional, durable enough to maintain a razor edge, yet pliable enough to be sculpted with exactness. Its palette spans from alabaster to deep burgundy, marbled with violets and blues. Archaeologists have unearthed Alibates flint projectiles and blades dispersed across the Great Plains, reaching from Colorado to Louisiana. It functioned as the steel of the prehistoric era. The pilgrims who ventured here were not merely local wanderers. Evidence confirms that groups trekked hundreds of miles to reach this sanctuary. As early as 11,000 BC, Clovis hunters, among the earliest documented inhabitants of the continent, utilized Alibates flint to forge spear tips for pursuing mammoths and Pleistocene bison. Millennia later, after the megafauna vanished, emergent cultures continued the pilgrimage. They established hearths and left the debris of their industry, lithic flakes, mauls, and unfinished implements, exactly where they fell. When researchers began investigating the site in the early 20th century, the magnitude left them breathless. More than 700 quarry pits pockmark the mesa tops, some descending 10 feet. Each cavity represents grueling labor, tunneling through limestone to reach flint veins, then delicately extracting the stone without causing it to shatter. Surrounding these pits are vast debris fields, millions of chips and fragments, the byproducts of craftsmanship that now compose an ancient mosaic upon the soil. However, what elevates Alibates beyond a mere mine is how little we truly comprehend regarding the artisans. The site defies a singular cultural label. It served diverse groups over thousands of years, from Paleo-Indians to the Antelope Creek people around 1100 AD. The Antelope Creek culture, known for constructing stone slab dwellings near the river, may have managed Alibates as a commercial center, distributing flint tools to communities throughout the southern plains.
Yet the degree of organization remains speculative. Was this a seasonal assembly for trade and extraction, or a permanent, sacred territory inherited through the ages? Some archaeologists suggest the quarries held metaphysical weight. In many indigenous traditions, stone is not a lifeless resource. It is vital, imbued with the spirit of the earth. At Alibates, that atmosphere lingers. Even today, many indigenous visitors approach the site with profound respect, offering quietude before entering the fields. The deeper enigma involves the scale of its reach. How far did Alibates flint truly travel? Traces have been identified in archaeological contexts many hundreds of miles distant, appearing alongside New Mexican obsidian or copper from the Great Lakes. This implies a sophisticated prehistoric commerce network spanning the continent. The miners were not isolated. They were nodes in a vast web of communication and exchange that linked distant societies long before recorded history. When the Antelope Creek people disappeared around 1450 AD, the quarries grew silent. Later, Comanche and Apache tribes traversed the area, likely cognizant of the stone's utility, though they often utilized diverse sources for their weaponry.
By the time Spanish explorers reached the Panhandle, Alibates had transitioned into folklore. Cattlemen in the 1800s observed the strange circular depressions on the mesa and dismissed them as buffalo wallows. It was not until the 1920s that scientists realized these were anthropogenic excavations, remnants of an industry predating modern civilization. Walking the site today, the antiquity is tangible. The earth crunches beneath your boots with flint shards that have remained undisturbed for eons. Some flakes remain sharp enough to pierce skin today. The air is parched, carrying scents of sagebrush and dust. From the mesa summit, one sees miles of undulating plains merging into the horizon. It is a silent, haunting splendor that highlights the endurance of those who survived and created on this land. The National Park Service now safeguards the region, and access is preserved through guided excursions. Rangers guide small parties through the quarry fields, detailing how ancient laborers dug narrow channels to harvest flint nodules with hammerstones.
They indicate flakes resting precisely where they were discarded, some over a millennium old. Unlike many archaeological sites, Alibates remains rich with untouched artifacts due to rigorous preservation. It provides rare clarity into how early societies engaged with their world. Furthermore, modern technology is finally peeling back the layers of secrecy. Through drone cartography and geochemical testing, researchers are mapping the dispersal of Alibates flint across North America. Every deposit possesses a distinct chemical fingerprint, allowing scientists to pinpoint a tool's origin. This means a flint spearhead found in Oklahoma or Kansas can be traced directly to a specific pit in Texas. Every finding reinforces the premise that Alibates was a pivotal heart of a massive prehistoric network. Yet, even with this data, a veil of mystery persists. We can chart the pits and analyze the chemistry,
but we may never hear the names, dialects, or prayers of the workers. Their voices are extinct, but their artistry remains, silent, sharp, and immortal.
Visiting Alibates today does not feel like exploring a ruin. It feels vital, vibrating with the memory of human labor. The flint still radiates in the sun, and the atmosphere feels electrified by history. Rangers often remark that at twilight, when the light hits the stone perfectly, the entire mesa glows with hues of violet and gold, a reflection of the people who once shaped it. There are no cathedrals or monoliths here, no towering monuments or carvings. There is only the earth, the stone, and the quiet tenacity of human purpose reaching back to the dawn of time. In that minimalism lies something sacred, a reminder that even in formidable landscapes, humans discovered beauty and connection. Ultimately, the enigma of Alibates is not about what we lack, it is about what survives. A quarry transformed into a time capsule, where the saga of ancient America is still being told, one flake of flint at a time.